Good afternoon. My name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, and we're back with another packed short. We're having another segment for our Rebuilding the Happy Place campaign that's been going on for a couple of weeks, and we're hot and heavy into it now, trying to find solutions to everyone's problem. Not every mental health issue is the same. Everyone has their own way of dealing with things. Well, this is one way. We've got to find that comfort level dealing with people with their own mental disability, mental illness, and mental hardship. So joining me right now is Bill Willis and David Patrick. Bill, you and I have been talking the last couple of days. You're about ready to be coming on to the Community Pay It Forward program. And you told me about David Patrick and his wonderful program. Why don't you give us a little bit of an idea on what you do first, Bill, and then we'll move on to the introduction of David.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, my primary business has been in the medical healthcare, especially in the medical cost sharing healthcare business. I've done traditional insurance over the years, but I'm particularly working in the medical cost sharing. And one of the things that has become abundantly clear is that there's a real issue in our nation for mental health. Suicide rates are up, depression, anxiety, all these factors are entering in, not just into the public schools, but the universities, nonprofit world, as well as the employer world. And it's something that needs to be addressed. We're at the highest levels we've ever had in those arenas. And National Telehealth Solutions and David's group, I've partnered with because I think they've stepped up and provided programs that meet the needs of these particular areas.
Yeah, David, you're welcome to the program. Can you please tell us what exactly is the National Telehealth Solutions?
We are obviously a telehealth provider. We provide healthcare virtually through several providers. Specifically, as we're on this cast about, is to provide mental health care to a population. We work with school districts, we work with individuals, we work with employers, universities to provide a virtual health care for mental care that provides an access and scalability to folks that a lot of people haven't seen in the marketplace yet. So we're very excited as we continue to roll this out to make this available to a lot of folks.
You guys saw a huge issue with one of the problems, and that's accessibility, and you guys are taking a huge step on in which there's still a challenge there. We understand that, but you guys are taking a huge step forward. Can you explain what that huge step was and what you guys are trying to do?
Sure. I think part of the difficulty we have with mental health care to this point is the accessibility you mentioned. We have a lot of wait times in our part of the world across the country. So what we were able to do is put this program together where we have kind of a 4-stage program. From digital content, which is very active and thousands of applications for different scenarios, general coaching, counseling, and also licensed care as well as full psychiatry. So I think as we've talked before about it, the key is that we have a triage program that's really never been done well in mental health because of the enormous demand that's on our existing counselors and psychiatrists. The accessibility and the scalability is very difficult. So I think our program, because of the virtual nature and we triage better, with the challenges someone have, gives us the ability to really cover a lot more people virtually. And then obviously, as we've talked before, if there's needs for referrals outside of a network or two, physical counseling and psychiatry, those things can be done. But a lot of problems we see in mental care don't necessarily revolve around some of the things we kind of been told and stigmatized over the years. A lot of folks just need somebody to talk to and some good general counseling and good general mentoring and advice, and can help with a lot of the stress and problems they have. The other thing I think, Zach's the key to our program, is that we make our services available to the entire household. And that's very critical as well, especially in some of the different populations we work in, because as we've talked, mental challenges, whether they're severe or just day-to-day stress that we're dealing with, always are going to affect the household, one either back towards or away from. So it's important that I think we provide that access for the household as well.
Yeah, there's never been a case of one person suffering and the rest of the family living happily. That's kind of not the way that it goes. Bill, what led you to wanting to get involved with this program?
Well, in my working with employees of companies and nonprofits, and realizing that this is becoming an issue there, and they're looking for answers. And one of the things we provide in our program is telemedicine, and it's worked very successfully. I talked to people 3 or 4 years ago. We were providing it, but half the people I talked to had never heard of it. With COVID and what it's developed over the last couple of years, now probably the majority of the people know what telemedicine is. And as much as we provide for our members, the one thing that I felt has always been lacking, we do have some mental health portions of it, but it's not to the degree of what National Telehealth Solutions provides. And I've worked out a situation where we can even block our own telemedicine and bring theirs on board to supplement ours. But the main issue is that people need to get help. And there is a stigma sometimes about them walking into an office, especially with a younger person, and not wanting to identify with having a problem. But they still need that issue, whatever it is. It may be very important to us, and it may, or to them, but it may not seem like that much of an important issue to us. But for them, it could be the one thing that just sets them over the edge. And like David said, if we can save one person, that will be a wonderful thing.
Our mission for the next, for the next while is to save one life a week. And the reason why we say save one life a week is because you cannot save two until you save the first one. So, it's always one, and keep building on that. David, can you you say that you guys have a 4-tier program? Can you please explain the 4 tiers?
Yeah, the 4 tiers of our program, we have digital access, which is kind of one of the, it works within the other 3 stages or in the tiers.
Mhm.
The second level up from that would be what we call general counseling, mentoring, and coaching. Um, After that level, we have the licensed care, which includes psychology and that kind of thing, and then the full-blown doctor care with the psychiatry level, which for the advanced cases that has a capability for prescriptions and ongoing maintenance. Those 2 higher levels are always done on a scheduled basis. Our general coaching and counseling has 24/7 kind of very quick access usually. Sometimes if you have someone in particular you want to deal with, it might take a little time to wait for them. But once we get to that higher level care, it can be several days out to get scheduled. It's not a 2-hour type turnaround situation like sometimes it is in the other care levels. And I think the thing that's important too is that one of the barriers to accessibility is cost. We do a great job of folks become our members regardless of what size group that they come from. And then that program in most cases has a has zero copays, zero cost, unlimited access, so they can maintain their care at those lower levels. Sometimes some of our programs, you get in higher psychiatric care, there may be a copay involved, but it's a third of what normally is in the marketplace. So very affordable, whether it's for group paying or whoever, and being able to have that access to those staged cares, again, as we've talked earlier, that really helps us with a lot of the triage that's needed in the mental health care arena.
What are some of the things, David, that can help you guys continue this mission? Are you guys looking for additional therapists? Are you looking for people to step up and help you out in any way?
I think the main thing is the exposure. If we go sales 101, our number one objection when we're presenting our program to a potential client is the too good to be true, what am I missing? When you take out the enormous volume of folks that we can have enrolled in our program, it helps us scale as well with the clinicians. And those are obviously we're always looking for and always become part of our network. So we have a lot of folks that want to provide services through our platform. There's obviously we're pretty strict on our qualifications for what's required for some of the higher level care, some of the general coaching, but most of the stuff we do is going to require a certain amount of degrees. So we're very careful about making sure we have clinicians that are qualified to provide whatever level of care they might be in. As far as us as a company, our biggest challenge, and that's why we team up with folks like Bill. It's just leverage the multiple networks of people reaching out to people and getting the word out of what we can do is our number one objective. The owners and partners in the company, that's what we do every day, is more exposure, and that pays back a lot of dividends because we're getting out to a lot more people, through a lot more people.
How do these schools and these businesses, these organizations, how did they get a hold of you guys? What did they need to do to try to utilize your services?
Obviously, getting a hold of our agents like Bill is one of the primary access points. Usually in an area, if they reach out to us through one of our sites or one of our connections, we'll refer them back to one of our agents. In this case, with working with you guys, it's going to be reaching out to Bill, and he coordinates those efforts with us. To make sure we get them access to the information they need. All the folks like Bill are, we've got them, they understand our program, they're trained, it's like they're part of us, even though a lot of times we have relationships with independent folks, very much part of our network and get all the updates when they're needed and know what's going on. So with you guys, he would be the lead on this thing. And if something happened with a lot of connections that it was more than he or his group could handle, we always have people. Bill spend some time with some of our other folks that can step in and help out if something's really catching on fire and going like crazy. So we have complete scalability as a company as well to support Bill and his activities if something gets out of control that he's, in a good way, that he's still very much in charge of and oversees.
Yeah, Zach, what you mentioned, one of the other things that appealed to me about it is that it is a very affordable program, and it doesn't interfere with any of the other programs that the customer may have, no matter what they are, whether it's a employer group or school or what have you. It's a standalone system that can be in on itself. It doesn't have to be tied into another insurance program or anything else. And in some programs, there's even money available out there in the marketplace to help pay for it through some of the funds that were available through COVID.
Bill, are there incentives for employers too? I mean, and this is crazy for me to say, okay, having to ask if there's an incentive for an employer, because the truth is your employees' mental health should be an incentive enough. Are there incentives right now that the government are giving people to enroll in programs like this?
There may be a part of the funding for the new, I think it was a gun control legislation, was for funding for mental health. And I haven't seen all the outcome from it yet, but it's an affordable program. And the key to the employers is it will help their health in their existing plan and their existing workforce, because people that will get help it'll save them work time. And so it can be an asset to that company just by providing it to help with their their own absenteeism and things like that for sickness and health issues. Dave, you may want to kind of add on to that, but
we talk a lot too, Zach. We're not here to sell on fear or anything like that. But one of the things employers have to look at, and some other groups, is that not having a good comprehensive mental health plan in place, and that's way beyond what's typically available with some EAPs and some other outside services referring out. We have a lot of HR directors get people in their offices, don't know what to do with them. Having a place for people to have access anonymously, so to speak, is very critical. And we tell employers all the time what you have to start looking at is a liability issue here. If you have a complete comprehensive mental health care program like ours that stands alone, a lot of people won't use a health provider, mental health provider, because it ties to their insurance, or the employer might find out about it. Now they're in the records with the insurance company. It's going to be a pre-existing condition. We hear all those things all day long. That can be huge liability for an employer if something happens. And with our service, it's going to give them another layer of protection that a lot of times we're talking to legal departments and bigger companies that they're recognizing the need to have this type of access. And then it's, again, as we market our program as a standalone benefit for multiple groups, including nonprofits and that kind of thing. It's a great way to add on to existing benefits, or if employers don't have any benefits, a great benefit to add into the programs. So liability is becoming a huge issue for employers with not having access to a good mental health care program. That I think we really fill that gap very well.
Again, it's a little crazy that we have to go that far, that we have to talk about, that these companies have to be convinced to do something like this. I mean, there are situations out there right now that can be prevented if they just get ahead of things. Tell me, guys, and this is kind of a personal question for both of you guys, but Bill, I'm going to start with you. What is one thing that you would suggest if you see someone? What would be something that you would suggest to somebody to seek help? If you see one action, what would you say? You know what? Maybe you need to go and seek help.
Well, that's a difficult question, but
it truly is. But it's one of those things that we need to be a little more aware.
Yeah, I would tell them to start at the entry level, and I would recommend something like this. From the employer standpoint, the employer does not have to contribute to this either. They can, and many do, but it can be very low cost, as I mentioned. And I think the fact that I would recommend somebody that because of the health side of it, the telemedicine side, where they can go on anonymously and get set up. They don't have to make a phone call to a local doctor's office or what have you to get it, or announce it to their employer, as David said, or to their school system or school counselor or whoever. But it's something that they just to talk to somebody. And it's something that they, sometimes a basic conversation can help head off something, and referring them into one of the videos that can lead them through some questions that will help answer their anxiety or their need. But it's a little hard to say other than that, because you don't know whether it's a suicide issue or an anxiety, or just somebody like David mentioned that flunked a test or something. And, maybe some basic conversations can help walk that person through it, and realize that if that's the worst thing that happens to them that day, that'll probably be a good thing.
Well, and David, can let me go on ahead and switch this question. What kind of reaction are you guys getting with people in general? Are you seeing a lot of success with this?
We are, as I said in the beginning, one of our biggest hurdles to overcome is too good to be true. How can you do this and offer this level of service and this stage and comprehensive care and all the things we talked about for some of the membership points prices that we're doing it at. But as far as once folks are in, I think the biggest surprise we probably have is how comprehensive our digital program is. I think a lot of people have used that over the years with some of the existing programs, and this is a very advanced digital program that we have to help folks get through those dailies as they're maybe looking towards a session with a counselor or a psychiatrist or whatever. That's a huge part of it. And I think you have to be careful about saying this too loud, but it kind of encourages people to face their mental health challenges head on. And I don't mean just a daily, but the real stuff that's starting to really dig in and bother you, and face them head on. And then quite frankly, I think our program, as it develops more and more, and we've had it out now for about a year, it's also proving that it's teaching folks how to take care of themselves a little better. And I think that's a big part of it, because a lot of the communities we deal with, the populations we deal with, some of the HR directors are so frustrated, the HR directors, because they just don't, people come in with issues that 25 years ago were not that big a deal, and now they're, somewhat overwhelming to them. And the coping skills, as a basic example, are very lacking in a lot of the generations overall. And those type of things, just teaching those can help a lot with, downfield issues. So I think that's a big part of it. The reception's been great. Once you get over that kind of first hurdle of something, I must be missing something here, and then they experience the program. It's kind of like one of those deals with the puppy dog. Once you play with it for a couple of days, you've got them as a customer, and that's what we're seeing pretty consistently.
I think that frustration with HR departments, it's, there's got to be a different level of tolerance, because there's so many different, and this is part of the movements that are nowadays. Everything is being retaught in different ways, and you got to take everybody's thoughts into consideration, which is something we should have always been doing. Always been doing, but now it's become so very important, because look, differences are here, and we need to respect people. So, gentlemen, I greatly appreciate this. David, one more time, how do people get a hold of you guys?
I'll give you my information, and then I can get a hold of David. There'll be a connection on my website. I'm just developing it now for
Okay.
a specific area. So when we get set up, there will be a connection there to link to for more information. But that would be the main. I would be the main touch point, and then I'll bring whoever I need to into it. And again, back to your question before, I think one of the things that it seems like most people need is to know that they're not alone and facing things alone, and that there is help there, and they can get it privately, and they're it gets rid of that stigma that they sometimes feel like they're facing.
Bill, I would like to thank you very much for introducing us to David and introducing us to this wonderful program. David, I would like to thank you very much for your time on joining us.
Thank you.
We hope to see you guys again on August 15th. Hey, everybody, this is just one more of the groups that are out there. This is just one more program that's out here. If you know of a program who's out here trying to help us navigate this difficulty of mental health, we encourage you to please give us a call, 970-909-0751. 970-909-0751. We want to hear about it. We want to let people know about it, because you know what? What they don't know is hurting them. So let's make sure that we get everything out and very clear to people. We're here. We want to help. All right. Again, David, Bill, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. And you guys keep up the great work. Okay.
Zach,
Yeah,
thank you for
we'll
what you're
follow
doing
up
as
with
well.
you.
We appreciate it.
And no
Yeah.
problem. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Zach.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone, show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.
Hey folks, I'm Chip Wynn with Chip Wynn Motors and Chip Wynn Classic Cars right here in Paducah, Kentucky. Today I want to tell you about something that's near and dear to my heart, Project Die Hard. Now what is that? That is an organization set up to help our veterans who are transitioning from military life back into civilian life, and to help them do it in a healthy, good way. We need your support, we need your help, we need your financial help. What we're going to do is the weekend of July 28th, 29th, and 30th, we're going to have a massive celebration and a fundraiser for Project Die Hard. Even Saturday, July the 30th, we are going to have a classic car show. Not only our cars will be in it, but the public will be invited to participate as well. Now is the time to step up and support a really worthy organization. Project Die Hard. Come on and join us.